Hi, everyone. And today I'm excited to present this study published in the Lancet Oncology Journal about patient preferences regarding the speed of access versus certainty of survival benefits for new cancer drugs. So I selected this article because we had some presenters in the previous sessions talking about oncology clinical trials, so I wanted to get a different perspective on this. So this article is specifically about the patient's perspective and how it is considered in development of cancer drugs. So the research is conducted by Robin Forrest and colleagues from the London School of Economics, and the study offers insights into the complex decision-making processes surrounding cancer drug approvals. So let's get into the study. So let's begin by understanding the context of the study. So we know that the accelerated approval pathway for cancer drugs has been the topic of intense debate in recent years. So the aim of the accelerated approval pathway is to bring potentially life-saving treatments to patients sooner. So how it does is that it it is based on proving your surrogate endpoint. So, in cancer research, the surrogate endpoint is mostly in all cases progression free survival. So, what progression free survival means is that when the patient takes the drug, how long the patient can survive without their cancer advancing into further stages. So this is agreed upon. So the progression-free survival uh, endpoint is agreed upon by the FDA and the industry. And in this article, we see a different perspective, whether the patients are happy with this approach or not, and how much the progression-free survival endpoints translates into overall clinical survival benefit. So, so this study simulates the trade-offs and uncertainties inherent in the accelerated approval process, and it highlights the crucial perspective that we often overlook, that is a patient's perspective. And the researchers have employed a method called discrete choice experiments, which allows us to measure preferences by assuming that products or policies can be characterized by their attributes, and it aims to estimate how long patients are willing to wait for more certain survival benefits. So let's look into the methodology. So the researchers conducted an online survey using a self-reported discrete choice experiment. So they included participants with some experience with cancer, either as patients or caregivers, to ensure relevant insights. So in this experiment, respondents were presented with series of choices between two hypothetical cancer drugs, and these choices considered five key attributes: the functional status, which meant the quality of life, the life expectancy, certainty of the survival benefit of a new drug, effect of the drug on a surrogate endpoint. In this case, it's a progression free survival, and delay in FDA approval time. So, the survey was given to around 3,427 participants, and around 870 of the participants were included in the study. And moving on, I'll give a quick snap of the questionnaire that was presented. So these are some of the choice task examples presented to the participants. And I can quickly go over the first choice task so that we can get a better understanding of the study. So a participant is asked to choose between two drugs A and B, given the five attributes, as we know. And while making the decision, they are considering the quality of life. So in this case, it is limited self-care and cannot work, and they are bedridden like more than 50% of the time, and with a life expectancy of 1 year. And they are told to choose between two drugs, A or B. with a progression-free survival of 5 months, while the certainty of survival benefit and speed of access differs or are in different ranges. And another example on the right has different scenario with various scenario variables. So participants had to choose between two drugs in 12 such scenario or task or choice tasks with different levels of variables. So I can show a quick snap. Uh, sorry, sorry. So I can show a quick snap of the levels of scenario variables. So these are different levels of scenario variables for life expectancy, FDA approval time, effect on a surrogate endpoint, then followed by functional status, certainty of clinical benefit. So as we move into the results, what we see is that the primary model of the statistical analysis revealed that there is a strong positive preference for increased certainty of living longer and strong negative preference against an increase in FDA approval time, as we expect. And in cases where there are low evidences linking progression-free survival to overall survival, respondents were willing to wait up to 16.34 months for moderate certainty and 21.68 months for high certainty of survival benefit. So this significantly longer than the typical duration of metastatic trial designs, which is around like 11 months. So this scenario analysis here would give the differences in the sensitivities of the respondents to certainty and FDA approval time, depending on functional status and life expectancy. So the first graph here on the top shows that the overall population were more than twice as likely to choose a drug that had moderate certainty of a drug's effect on living longer uh, than uh, than the drug that had low certainty or low evidence. So the second graph here shows that the increase in wait time for the FDA approval reduced the probability of an individual choosing a given drug. And as life expectancy decreased, respondents became more sensitive to increasing wait times. So this suggests that patients with shorter life expectancies may be more willing to accept uncertain benefits for faster access to new treatments. So the authors point out in this scenario that FDA's focus on faster access to treatments for unmet medical needs such as cancer may be influenced by this particular scenario, and where patients would be willing to trade off the absence of strong evidence for overall survival for a drug or a treatment showing marginal benefits in terms of progression-free survival, but that is available sooner. So moving on to another result, another finding, a crucial finding in the study is that authors found a lack of statistically significant interactions between progression-free survival and certainty of survival benefit. So as respondents did not consider substantial PFS benefit as satisfactory substitute for uncertain overall survival. So this challenges the common assumption by FDA and the industry that PFS can always serve as a reliable surrogate for OS in decision making about cancer treatments. So moving on, let's discuss about the implications of these results. These findings suggest that FDA and patients face a complex trade-off when choosing cancer treatments, and especially when the cancer treatments are approved in an expedited manner, like in the accelerated pathway for unmet medical needs, and the patients are willing to wait for greater certainty on survival benefits. So the study raises questions about whether the current approaches of FDA and the accelerated approval is optimally balanced between patient preferences and the industry preferences. So it appears that patients prioritize survival and quality of life over progression-free survival, which challenges the use of surrogate endpoints for faster cancer drug approvals. Moreover, the willingness of many patients to wait longer, um, typically more than the trial durations of 11 months, for a better or reliable survival data, suggests that current approach may need a reconsideration. It indicates that patients value certainty of benefit more than what was previously assumed by FDA. So, researchers suggest that FDA should increase transparency on benefits and risks of accelerated approval to all the stakeholders involved, including patients, so that they can make better choices or make informed decisions for their treatment. So, moving on to the limitations of the study. So, this study had several limitations, and the scope for future research is that the authors mentioned the sample was self-selected and may not fully represent all the cancer patients. So future research could aim for a more diverse and representative sample. Additionally, the study focused on hypothetical scenarios. So real-world decision making might be influenced by a lot of other factors like cost of treatment and ease of treatment. So, future studies could also explore these preferences and how they translate into real world decisions. So, moving on, I'd like to discuss about what I learned through through analyzing this research study. So, the first and foremost, I understood the difference between progression-free survival and overall survival benefit, and as the study emphasized the importance of overall survival in cancer drug approvals, and it suggested that need for more novel clinical trial designs that enable the data collection uh, for overall survival data. And when choosing endpoints in clinical trials, especially for cancer therapies, we should prioritize the ones that are closer to the overall survival. So this might mean that we have to move away from choosing progression-free survival as an endpoint for these trials. And the study also mentioned or cited few articles that had information about the post-marketing surveillance in accelerated approvals, and they mentioned that FDA's approach is not that stringent when it comes to accelerated approval with regards to post-marketing surveillance. And I feel that we should align with the quality over quantity approach when it comes to such drug approvals. And the study highlights the importance of patient preferences in drug approval process. So future policies might need to consider these preferences more explicitly. And this brings to the end of this presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Lakshmi.